The all-new 22 Civic, now on sale at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome as we start another day's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your world since the last opportunity we had to spend some time with you. We start today's show talking about what we have become as a society, both here in Louisiana and the nation at large. With the advent of the digital age, and more specifically, the cell phone age, we have watched, many of us with disdain, how one simple device has led many of us to, for lack of a better phrase, lose our freaking minds. Things that in years past, we as citizens would immediately respond to and put an end to. We now, sadly, take out our cell phones and start shooting video. In many instances, the video that's being shot was spurred by something stupid on social media. You probably heard the case recently of 18-year-old Ariana Jackson, a student at Covington High School, allegedly saw on TikTok devious licks. It is a challenge of sorts, encouraging kids to destroy school property and attack teachers. This 18-year-old young woman, sitting down with the teacher in class after school, allegedly to discuss a grade. And at the end of their discussion, without any provocation at all, she attacks this 64-year-old teacher in her wheelchair, no less, and proceeds to pummel this woman. And of course, with today's society being what today's society is, 2 students filmed this brutal attack and posted it on social media. It was announced this week that Ariana Jackson will be arraigned on December 8th, and faces up to 10 years in prison for this dastardly attack. You probably know by now that the two individuals that filmed this and posted it likewise have been charged. Parents, if you already don't know, you better talk to your kids. It is one thing that we have arrived at a point in time where we don't intervene and instead shoot video. But it's something else entirely to post it on social media and to do something based on what you saw on social media. Well, yeah, this would be fun. Let's destroy school property. Let's physically attack teachers. And your child has no better sense than to go out and take part in it and then expose it for all the world to see. You know, aside from these being troubling times, what may be most troubling of all is the complete departure from the things that made us the great country that we are. I know for a fact, when I look at individuals that carry out attacks on others in various places, not so long ago, the perpetrator of these acts probably would have had some very serious reservations and probably would have said, you know what, if I do this, I'm going to get the bejesus beat out of me because there are going to be some guys standing around that's not going to stand for this crap. But nowadays, you really don't worry about it because the worst that could probably happen is they've got you on cell phone video and it's evidence for the police. Now, for those of you that are saying, now, Clarence, come on, it's not that bad. You know, men are still men in America and, you know, they stand up when bad things happen. So, you know, let's not get, what's AOC's word? Oh, let's not get hysterical about this. Well, I submit to you, just this week, of all places, mind you, in the city of brotherly love, on the commuter train there, they call it the EL, 35-year-old Fiston Najoy spends the better part of 30 minutes harassing a woman on the commuter train before he proceeds in broad daylight to rape the woman on the train. And of course, all these passengers on the train, not a single individual lifted a hand to help this woman in the midst of a rape on a commuter train. Oh, but did I mention? A whole lot of folks took out their cell phones and recorded it. You know, if I were a guy that was on that train, I would go home and make it a point to break and throw out of the bathroom and any other room in the house that had a mirror in it. Because there's no way I could look at myself as a man, knowing all I did, and it would be one thing if those who pulled out their cell phones took the time to dial 911. Hi, operator, I need to report a sexual assault. Okay, where are you? Well, I'm on the L. We're approaching whatever station. By the way, the train where this happened passed 12 different stops. People getting off, people getting on. Not a single person lifted a finger to help this woman. How in God's name do you look at yourself and call yourself a man, knowing what is happening, and all you did was pull out your freaking cell phone? Oh, and now, by the way, we find out the perpetrator of the crime is an illegal immigrant. Came here on a visa in 2012. It expired in 2015. And he then went about the business of remaining here illegally. Meanwhile, court records show that while here illegally, he racked up multiple arrests and 2 misdemeanor convictions, one for controlled substances, another for, surprise, surprise, sexual abuse. Convicted, put in custody, but not deported. As a matter of fact, released back into society. I would never pretend to speak for anyone else. And I have watched with alarm and disdain how the media, Hollywood, movie industry, and the like have gone about the business of emasculating men in this country, feminizing men in this country. But you know, I've got to think, what would have happened not so very long ago had my late father and the fathers of many of you watching right now, if they had been on that train, what would have happened to this person? And I'll use that term as loosely as possible. In all likelihood, when a call was made to authorities about a guy raping a woman on a public commuter train, at the end of the conversation, they probably would have told them, you need to send some help, but you don't have to rush because he ain't going anywhere. He'll be here. He'll be here till the van, as in coroner, comes to pick him up. Now listen, don't get it twisted. I'm not advocating violence, but God knows, not so very long ago, this piece of you-know-what would have been dealt with accordingly, and it would not have been in the court system. Just saying. First break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back and talk a little COVID, and surprise, surprise, that's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Go where summer leads you in an award-winning Mazda CUV. Find yours during Mazda's season of discovery.
Call, click, or come by and discover your new Mazda today at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on AIRLINE.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, with the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, pandemic, that's the word I was looking for. We found out as Americans that individuals we used to automatically trust, we no longer have the option of doing that. We have seen with an alarming degree of regularity experts, particularly in the field of healthcare, virology in particular, tell us one thing that is definitely going to happen if we don't do this to fight COVID-19. We were initially told, remember this one? We need 14 days to flatten the curve. Remember that? That was now going on about 2 years ago. We were told 14 days we'll be able to, flatten the curve and handle this thing and go on about our business. And of course, we all know how that turned out, right? Wink, wink. We've also heard from the, quote, experts about the efficacy of the vaccine, the effectiveness of masks, and of course, the necessity of lockdowns. Well, this week, it was announced that the state of Florida, which, by the way, is probably running about neck and neck with the state of Texas for the level of demonization from the left. Hollywood, mainstream media, Anthony Fauci, they have been incessant with the name calling and the projections of what would happen in both Texas and Florida as a result of their policies dealing with COVID-19. Now, I'm sure Marty would argue it has nothing at all to do with the fact that those two states, Texas and Florida, are red states and have Republican governors. That wouldn't have anything to do with it. Well, despite all the criticism, all the ugly names, all the negativity, all the doomsday predictions, it was announced this week that the state of Florida is doing better than all but 2 states in the entire United States of America when it comes to cases of COVID-19 per 100,000 residents. As a matter of fact, over the last 2 weeks in Florida, their cases have dropped by 33%. Now, according to the New York Times, their coronavirus map shows only 2 states are reporting fewer average cases per 100,000 residents than Florida. Florida reporting only 14 per 100,000 residents. The only 2 that did better, Louisiana and Hawaii, 13 and 9% respectively. So it makes you wonder just how much the experts actually know and just how much of what they tell us is driven by an agenda and politics. I was trying to remember last night, the last time I could remember anything where the so-called guest spurts would tell us one thing and then turn around not very long thereafter and tell us something else. I couldn't remember anything. Things like Anthony Fauci coming out and telling us all about how effective the vaccines are and why you need to get it and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And doesn't matter, get the Moderna or get the J&J, whatever. But then he comes out in the last week and says, well, if you got the Johnson & Johnson shot, that should have been 2 shots. So let me get this straight. After the leader of the free world and the vice president of the United States came out and told us, if Donald Trump had anything to do with that, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't trust it. After telling us that, and of course, those who took their advice, they don't trust it and they ain't gonna get it, then you resort to all sorts of ugly name calling, science deniers, flat earthers, selfish SOBs, and the list just went on and on and on and on. Now we're supposed to believe if you got the J&J shot, well, actually you should have gotten another shot and you're going to need the boosters too. And they wonder why the most recent polls show very few Americans believe anything they have to say anymore. Of course, now, these same experts told us, oh, I know it's college football. I know y'all love football, especially down there in the South. What's that guy, Marino Chasm, famously said in the South? Football is religion, and Saturday is the holy day of obligation. But y'all shouldn't go to the games because it'll be a super spreader event. Remember all that? Well, now we find out after hundreds, well, actually, if you combine them all, millions of our fellow Americans congregating together, screaming at the top of their lungs on a weekly basis, the super spreader events didn't happen. So all that time, energy, and effort you spent attempting to scare the bejesus out of people says to me you were simply pursuing an agenda and or trying to make political hay. If we believe anything Anthony Fauci has told us, two things stand out. One, remember his saying a full year before Donald Trump was sworn in? Remember him saying the next administration is going to face a pandemic unlike anything the world has ever seen. Now, maybe the guy is just prophetic. Maybe the guy has a crystal ball that none of us know about. But a reasonable thinking person would go, Meanwhile, Anthony Fauci has also said, this is not the last pandemic we gonna see in the near future, y'all. You think this guy knows something the rest of us don't know? My sincerest hope for the country that I love dearly is that when the next one happens, because according to Fauci and all those of you that worship at the altar of the mainstream media, you know he can do no wrong. And of course, the guy certainly wouldn't lie to us about anything. When the next one comes our way, you will have had a master's class in BS. You will have seen this play before, and hopefully sound, sensible minds will prevail. Meaning, we got this new thing out there, it's COVID-28, and it's killing people left and right, but particularly those with existing comorbidities. Hopefully, the next time when the government attempts to use something to take away our rights, our liberties, and our freedoms, we will have the sense / backbone to say, wait a minute, y'all pulled this crap on us before, okay? We know better now. So, if the favorite word of the libs, science, if it tells us that if you're morbidly obese, you have diabetes, and congestive heart failure, you are the one and the only one that needs to be protected. We will not allow these yahoos to shut down the greatest freaking economy in the history of the human species for something that has a greater than 99% survivability rate. If you're morbidly obese, okay, we need to look out for you. If you have a long history of diabetes, compromised immune systems, okay, we need to look out for you. But the rest of the folk that, first of all, if they get it, will probably never know they had it. And secondly, if they get it and don't have existing comorbidities, they've got a greater than 99% probability that they'll survive it. And you want to use something as shallow as this to take away my rights, my liberties, my freedoms, my ability to work? If I didn't know any better, I think I woke up one morning and I'm a freaking citizen of North Korea. China, Russia. It's America, for God's sake, y'all. And at some point, real Americans, those with a backbone, those who understand what we are on the verge of losing, will stand up and say, all right, that's it. Enough's enough. In the words of the great statesman, philosopher, often misunderstood, all around good guy Popeye, I've had all I can stand, and I can't stand no more. Hopefully, America, that's going to be a whole lot sooner rather than later. Just saying. Bottom of the hour break. Let me get her done. When we come back, in case you didn't know, this current administration, the Biden-Harris administration, easily, hands freaking down, the most dysfunctional administration in the history of this country. Now, Clarence, how can you say that? I'm glad you posed that question. Proof positive. Next, as we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruget Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. You know, one of the idiosyncrasies of the human experience is perception. How you choose to look at certain things says a lot about who you are and your chosen path in dealing with certain things. For example, if I go someplace and it's an automobile repair shop and I tell the mechanic, All I need today is my air filter changed. And I know that there is this receptacle under the hood that has two little flip latches. You flip the latches, open up the top, take out the air filter, put the new one in, close it back, latch it down, good to go. If the place where I take my vehicle to have the air filter replaced takes 4 hours to change the air filter, there's no way in hell I'm going to let the guy work on my transmission, okay? Because you've shown to me that your level of expertise is not what I want to spend my hard-earned money on. I know better now. Heading into the last break, I mentioned the Biden-Harris administration is easily the most dysfunctional administration in the history of this country. I mean, look at every single issue that has come their way in just a mere 9 months, and they have failed miserably on every single challenge. The border, we all know how that's working out. Afghanistan, need I say any more? Inflation, been to the grocery store or the gas pumps lately? Energy independence, we all know how that's working out. Supply chain problems, we all know how that's working out. Every single issue that has come their way, they have failed and failed miserably. Meanwhile, you remember the appointment of the Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services, Rachel Levine, the dude that thinks he's a woman? Yeah, that guy. That dude. Remember that? Well, this week, the Health and Human Services Department comes out with utter glee, reporting that Rachel, biological male, Richard, given name, has been named as the nation's first openly transgender 4-star officer across any of the 8 uniformed services of the United States. According to their press release, quote, Admiral Rachel Levine, who serves as the HHS Assistant Secretary for Health and head of the U.S. Public Health Service Commissioned Corps, was ceremonially sworn in as a 4-star admiral. The press release identified Rachel Levine as the, quote, first ever female 4-star admiral. Now think about this, y'all. Bruh is a dude that thinks he's a woman, and a federal agency, in announcing his appointment, says this is historic. The first ever female 4-star admiral. Now, I don't know about you, but I often like to think of myself as a fairly intelligent person. At the very least, I'm a thinking guy. I think for myself. I don't let other people, other entities, other institutions tell me what I should feel, what I should think, Joe Biden, how I should vote. None of that. I do all that for myself. Thank you kindly. But it occurred to me, I guess in hindsight, I really shouldn't be all that surprised that you failed in fixing the border, that you failed in our withdrawal from Afghanistan, that you are failing miserably in fixing the supply chain crisis. You have failed miserably in keeping crime in check in cities all across the nation. Why should I not be surprised? You can't figure out a freaking dude from a girl. That's like you can't get in the starting block correctly to run the 400-meter high hurdles. You can't get in the starting block. How in the hell am I supposed to expect you to run and jump the hurdles? These clowns are going to tell me, well, this is historic. It's the first female. Now, my late father, God bless him, taught all of his children early in life. It's one thing for a person to be a fool, because you've heard me say before, it's got to be buried somewhere deep in the bowels of the Constitution of this country. I've never seen it, but based on what we as Americans are doing lately, it must be written in the Constitution somewhere. Very fine print. It's America. You got a right to be a moron. They are celebrating the first ever female. If you can't figure out that bruh is a dude, how in God's name am I supposed to expect you to figure out complex problems? Of course, now, to show you the caliber, the level of intellect of people that we're talking about here, for the border, you didn't have to fix squat. President Trump had already fixed it. All you had to do was follow what he had done. There'd be no problem. But no, not you, orange man bad. So we need to change the policy. Well, how'd that work out for you? Donald Trump had brought us to a point where we had achieved energy independence. We didn't need anybody else's oil or gas. Matter of fact, we had so much of it, we were selling it to other countries and making money. You been to the gas pump recently? All he had to do was just leave well enough alone. But this clown, Brandon, first order of business, cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. How is that working out for us? Again, if you can't change my air filter, there's no way on God's green earth you're going to work on my transmission. And that's where we are now, y'all. That's where we are. Now, I'm not going to get into, because it's a whole different show for a different day. I'm not going to get into whether or not, speaking of folks that will lie to you at the drop of a hat, 81 million people voted for Joe Biden. But if you one of them, you the problem, hoss. If you are one of those, and God bless you, I ain't mad at you. You probably at the time thought it was a good idea. Well, the guy's been there for 40-some years. Certainly he knows his way around. He should be able to get things done. Well, all you doofuses had to do at the time was ask yourself, if the guy's been in D.C. 40 freaking years, what can you tell me he's done? Name me one thing that Joe Biden can hold up in high esteem and say, look at this amazing accomplishment that I spearheaded after 40 years in D.C. You can't. You know why? Because he didn't. Now, it's one thing. Oh, well, yeah, you accomplished sucking money out of my wallet. Yeah, if you consider that an accomplishment. But at the end of the day, I understand there are people out here aplenty that will play you for a fool. There are people aplenty out here that are fools. But it chaps the hell out of my hide for you to think that just because you're a fool, I must be one too. Some of y'all ain't gonna get that till later. But that's okay, as long as at some point you get it. And hopefully a heck of a lot sooner than later. Just saying. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show right where you've got it, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and HOMEGATING platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. If you were with us in the last segment, and particularly for those of you that weren't, we talked about how dysfunctional the Biden-Harris administration is. And the most recent, what would they call it, Marty? Challenge? Situation that Americans are dealing with is the supply chain shortage. I saw just this morning, heading out to come in and do the show, there is now a backlog of just over 100 container ships, cargo ships, off the coast of California that cannot get in and offload their goods. And of course, we found out this week that Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has been MIA during this whole thing. This is the guy in charge of transportation in this country, which means, obviously, under his agency's purview, unloading the ships, getting the goods on trains, getting the goods on trucks, and getting these goods where they need to go, falls under his jurisdiction. We found out this week that after 6 months on the job, he has been off now for 2 straight months. Not because of an illness, mind you, but he's taking paternity leave to help his husband get acclimated to their 2 new adopted twin children. And when pressed about it this week, the Department of Transportation and the White House came out and said, well, he's a valued member of the administration and they've done a good job. Really? So he's done a good job. Store shelves bare in stores all across America. Ships stacked up off the coast. But he's done a good job. Meanwhile, the Labor Department this week issuing a statement saying the following items that consumers use. This is how Joe Biden's economic policies and the resulting inflation affect you and yours truly. These are the government's official figures, not mine, okay? According to the Labor Department, under the Biden-Harris presidency, the price for rental cars is up 43%. Gasoline up 42.1%. Used cars prices are up 24.5%. Hotels prices up 18%. TVs, if you were planning on waiting for Black Friday, you might want to run out and get one sooner, Captain. TV prices up 12.7%. Furniture prices up 11.2%. Meat, poultry, fish, eggs, all up 10.5%. New cars up 8.7%. Appliances 7.1%. Electricity 5.5%. And the list goes on and on and on. But the White House and the mainstream media, the liberals / progressives, would have you think there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to see here, move along. You know, at the end of the day, y'all, I don't care what your political persuasion is. It's America. You have a right to be liberal, you got a right to be conservative, you have a right to be libertarian, you have a right to be anywhere in that whole wide spectrum. But you do realize that, one, a rising tide floats all boats. But more important, When the water reaches a certain level, the water doesn't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. The water doesn't care if you're black or white. The water doesn't care if you're gay or straight. It will drown every single one of us. The water doesn't care, y'all. And unfortunately, we are looking at a situation now where this current administration does not have enough fingers and or toes to plug the holes in the dike. I am happy to say and seriously disheartened to say at the same time. I've never seen a point in my country's history where we have gone from so high to so low in such a short period of time. I don't mind telling you, y'all, I fear for the soul of my country. Fortunately, for me and a lot of you still watching, we are of the opinion there are still enough of us God-fearing, flag-waving real Americans to make a difference. If we don't do it now, folks, I shudder to think what we are leaving for our kids. I don't know about you, but God knows I would hate to find myself in the position where I have to answer our children and our grandchildren on why we allowed this marvelous exercise in self-governance, the greatest in the history of the human species. How in God's name did we allow this to come to an end on our watch? The old adage is, to whom much is given, much is expected in return. We have been the beneficiaries of something absolutely amazing. And if we aren't careful, we're going to watch it vanish in front of our very eyes. But that can only happen, my fellow Americans, if we sit on our fat, lazy butts and let it happen. Just saying. Now, that being said, my time's up and I gotta go. But you know the drill. This day, maybe more so than any other in history, I give it to you. You know what? You're right. America, we're not perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you do realize he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Then again, it really doesn't matter, because there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.